Hey, this is Noah. I'm upset. One of my favorite games of all time is a game called Eternal Darkness. It caught my attention at first because it was one of the few games Nintendo published themselves that was rated M, and still holds that title as being one of the only ones. The only difference between it and some of the other titles in that category is that it's actually good. It was made by a company called Silicon Knights. You may be familiar with them because they did Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes and Legacy of Kain. I don't know them for either of those things because I'm dumb, but apparently that's significant. That game, while it was fantastic, supposedly it was supposed to get a sequel. There's a little joke to it in one of the sanity effects where it tries to pretend like it's an advertisement for the sequel.
This can't be happening!
For just a second. It's cute. Whatever. But unfortunately, Silicon Knights got shut down. And the person in charge of it, Dennis Dyack, went on to found several studios afterwards to try to, keep it going and do things. And a long while ago, I think in 2013, he and his company went to do a Kickstarter for a game called Shadow of the Eternals, which was intended to be a spiritual successor to Eternal Darkness. And it did not get funded. You hate to see it. But then they came back, and they were like, yeah, we're going to do it again, we're going to get funded this time. And they failed again. They kickstarted the same project twice, and it didn't get funded. Good sign. Dennis assured everyone that the game was still going to happen, in spite of the fact that it failed 2 Kickstarter campaigns. What that meant is they got to secure the money themselves. How are they going to do that? By making other games and selling those first. Dead House Sonata, a spiritual successor to Legacy of Kain. I don't ever want to rag on something, especially if I don't have it and I have no, way to do it, but I think that's sort of the nature of this business. You gotta sensationalize stuff. But it doesn't look that interesting to me. Looking at the early footage of the game, I know it's early footage, but it looks really dated. You know what I mean? It's pretty gross. And I feel bad because, they're trying their best, and the themes of it are pretty interesting, I guess, but the gameplay looks pretty And it's like a multiplayer co-op action RPG thing, and I'm like, I'm not about it, Chief. And the worst part about it is I feel like I need to support it, because if supporting it means that Shadow of the Eternals could get eventually made, then that's a good thing. But the thing is, I don't really want to support it because I don't really find any interest in it, regardless of if the quality is any good. Because I'm not about some co-op action RPG right now. So I feel like I'm being strong-armed into playing and supporting an inferior product in my mind because I have this possible hope that my tax dollars are going to go towards the product that I'm actually interested in. And even then, it's bittersweet because since Shadow of the Eternals is only a spiritual successor instead of a true sequel, specifically not even under Nintendo's holdings, it doesn't quite feel the same. It murders me inside because I know that Nintendo still has the copyright for Eternal Darkness. They refund it like every 2 or 3 years and gets people up in a tizzy thinking, oh, we're going to get an Eternal Darkness remake or sequel or remaster or anything of that sort. But it's like, no, Nintendo's just prolific about keeping their intellectual properties on hand and making sure they up their rights to it, even when it's like way unnecessary at that point because it's got number of years going. So there's my thought. I'm like, Shadow of the Eternals is supposed to be a spiritual successor. Why don't you just get Nintendo to fund it, make it an official thing? But the problem is, at that doorstep, it would be up to Nintendo to decide, do we want to put out a new one of these? And I sincerely doubt it, because this is a niche product. This is a cult following kind of game. Of all the people I've watched on YouTube, the only one I've ever heard talk about it in such a well-respected way as to say that they enjoyed the game was the YouTuber Matt McMuscles. And even then, it's only sort of like offhanded. Like, with due respect to him, I don't even know if he has a video talking about the game specifically. I would like to offer a suggestion to either Dennis Diek or anyone at Nintendo who thinks they know things. If anyone would even bother to watch this. Do me a favor, Nintendo. Go up to Dennis Diek and be like, listen, you're broke. Let's fix it. Cut a deal with him. Give him the money to make Shadow of the Eternals, some of the resources needed, and put it out as Eternal Darkness 2. And I will drop on my knees and praise you all as gods in spite of all the things that you've done otherwise. That probably is not a good selling point to say it that way, but whatever. Ain't nobody gonna see this anyway. So, this is Noah. That's Eternal Darkness, Shadow of the Eternals, and Dead House Sonata, and Dennis Diek. See ya.